Welcome to Tai Chi. Everybody ready? Let's warm up. Hands at your waist, turn your neck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Stretch your neck. Point your chin out. Retract it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Turn your shoulders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Expand your chest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Waist exercise, do it correctly. Keep your arms way close to your ears so that you're forcing your hips and waist to turn your upper body so that you can see at a glance the heel of your opposite foot. 9, 10. Airplane. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Touch toe. 1. Same way you go down, it's the same way you go up by touching your legs on the down stroke as well as the up stroke. 7, 8, 9, 10. Turn your hips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Be careful. Shift your weight to the left foot. Good Tai Chi posture. That's your substantial foot. Your insubstantial or weightless foot gets to kick. Right foot. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Kick your butt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Turn your knees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Heisman. Okay, going to be a little particular about this one. Opening up your span. We're going to shift our weight to the right foot. Okay, here we go. Cross and sit on the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Head erect. Cross and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so just remember that when you post yourself to the right, you're straight up, even though you're creating this angle or span. The weight is all on the right or all on one side, but the head cannot, or the upper body cannot tip to see that angle a little bit differently, okay?
Of course, if you have knee problems and hip problems, you may not be able to do more than just lean this way. But it really is leaning and then turning. The knee, so long as the knee is bending in this direction, fine. Then you got to use your hips from, otherwise all you do this. But if you add this, that's making this move, and you get down lower. Otherwise, all you're doing is this. That's what you're trying to do, okay?
Right, golden cockerel. So opening up our span, good Tai Chi posture, dropping those shoulders, middle finger to the side seam of your pants, creating spirals and shifting of weight, spinning on our axle. Here we go. Golden cockerel stands on its left. Push down, push up. Last set. Okay, so everybody stop and just look at me. So when I'm doing it, I'm concentrating on myself, not sure that you're doing it the best way you know how. So yes, 50-50, shift weight, spiral down, spiral up. Turning on that axle, pushing down, pushing up. It's soft because we're thinking through our movements. We're timing it. It's not a hand motion, it's not a foot motion, something that's powered by our mind, something that's powered by our core. Those are the strength of that movement, of all movements in Tai Chi, okay? Practice that a little bit better, okay? Kicking out now, okay? We're at 50-50. We're gonna spiral by gathering the energy. Right foot on the right hand, right foot following the kick on an angle rather than two hands facing the forward direction. So when we do this, you're saying, are you creating spirals? Are you turning on your axle? Are you shifting your weight? Are you grounding down? Last one. Okay, holding our ball on a T stance, okay? So you may say, I know this, we did this how many times? But this takes off the formation of the feet, take off into our Tai Chi Walk. So make sure now you're wide awake and you're alert to what we're doing. T stance, out and to the side, L stance. Energy stored here, we're gonna have to move the energy through our system, then flatten down, turn our hips and waist, bow stance. Sit back and sit down. Where's that imaginary stool? Twist step. T stance. Out into the side, L. Move the energy from the left foot all the way across. Bow stance, flatten down. Sit back and sit down on that imaginary stool. Twist step. Root down. T stance. L stance. Turn the hips and waist. They are the commanders of your movement. Sit back, sit down. Pivot. Root down. T. L. Turn the hips and waist. Bow. Put some hands. Twist step. Hold your ball on a T stance. Out on an L. Bottom hand advances to go up the horse's mane. Sit back, sit down. Pivot, root down. T stance, center with the ball, bring it in. L stance, bottom hand advances to go up the horse's mane. So every time we do our movements, you should feel that it's not a hand motion. Then what is it? The power of the mind and the power of your core is making your movements happen. So you need to ask yourself, when I hold my ball and I come out, is the power emanating from my core? It should not be a hand motion. So once you say that, then we say that if set up correctly, the hands will go for the ride. So let's think about what I just said. If we set it up correctly, it's almost as if there's magic. Where's that magic coming from? The core and the mind. Is it? Can you try to do that? Right now. This is the sensation that you need to feel and create. Brush knee, set it up correctly. Power of the mind, power of the hips and waist creates the magic, or the power in which brush knee should be attained. Setting it up, hands go for the ride. How is it going through the front of us where we are? How are our hands getting there? We're using the commander of our body. It's you and it's your hips and waist. So if you really understand this thoroughly, the hands indeed go for the ride. You, if you set it up correctly, the hands, or the final completion of the movement, should be no problem. Okay, hold your ball. All right. So to drive that point a little clearer, watch what I'm going to do. Okay, that's one example. Remember it. Okay, this is a second example. Okay. I'll try to remember the same. So right away, you notice a big difference. Second example or demonstration was very, very slow compared to the first one. But the biggest difference is that in the first example, I was using purely hands. The second one, I was trying to drive my movement through my mind and through my core. So in a small way now, I set it up. I leave my hands there, but how does this left hand come to the side of my hip? I turn my hips and waist a little bit further so that my body then swings this way. But don't take me to an extreme where you're going to turn already so that it'll help you to get there, because then it becomes a hand motion or a disconnect. Because if I'm here, I set it up, this should all play. The hands got there because this guy steered it there, and my mind said, this is where I need to go. So that is the power of Tai Chi. It's magical, because people who perform, you say, wow, how can they do that? You know, it must be the hand motion, because we don't know anything about Tai Chi. But when you dig down and learn Tai Chi, it's how you set it up and how you use your body, especially your hips and waist, okay? Now, anything on that? Any questions on that? Okay, so I remember talking to you about this in Yang Ten form, so it's just a reinforcement of what you've already heard, okay? And perhaps a refinement, because now your mind is a little bit more receptive to adding on a little bit more detail. So that's great. In Yang 16 and Yang 24 and every other Yang except Yang 10 form, the feet positions or alignment take on a new light. We tweak it from the 10 form. We don't just throw the 10 form, T stance, L stance, bow stance, sit back, sit down, out. It is embedded in Tai Chi Walk. So you remember me saying that the way Tai Chi is choreographed, you usually end up in the vicinity of where you began. So if I start my 24 and I do 24 movements up and down the sides and to the front, I will probably end right in front of this camera. Maybe a little bit here or maybe a little bit here, but right within this area here. Same with the 16. So something that we're doing, which is Tai Chi Walk and feet positions, are helping us to get back home. So when we do Tai Chi Walk, visually we are walking from one end of the classroom or the room to the opposite end without a problem, which means that if I start here, I shouldn't end up there, or there, or there, or there, or there, but straight back. Understand? So what is it that is helping us? We can zigzag because we do zigzag. But the second pattern, this is pattern zigzag, this is pattern straightaway. The straightaway is keeping us zigzag. The straightaway is keeping me to go to the opposite end of the room. If we do not do a straightaway, we will end away from our point of return. So can you see that if I don't plant this foot on an L stance on a line or parallel to the line, I'm going to go haywire, okay? So you need to follow what I say, because there are people who still don't get it, okay? And in order to do justice to any Tai Chi, and especially the 16, which you're graduated into, you've got to get this down really, really well. It's not the hands that count, it's the feet, okay? So, yes, some of you are auditory learners, some of you are visual learners, and some of you are a combination, and some of you are kinesthetic, so you want to be able to implant it in your body, and then that's how you learn. So, if we say our hands are the direction in which we're to walk, we are we are straight up like this. We need to take a zigzag, and then we need to take a straightaway, and then we need to take a zigzag. All this motion is a pattern. So yes, you zigzag. Yes, you straightaway. Yes, you zigzag. Do you take another zigzag? No, because the pattern is dictated saying zigzag, straightaway, zigzag, straightaway, zigzag, straightaway. Can you say that? Zigzag. Do I hear everybody? All right, perfect. So your mind is taking in that information. Now the best part is that you've got to teach your mind that your body can follow that. That becomes then a little bit more of a challenge. To layer that, it's not so easy because we said zigzag straightaway, zigzag straightaway, zigzag straightaway. And I said, you're right, but we're leaving out a transition. Everything that I did was right because we learned it's always a zigzag, straightaway, zigzag, straightaway. But we're not doing justice to our body and to the principles because there is no sit back and there is no insubstantial foot. What do I mean? When we sit back or sit down on an imaginary stool, we allow all our energy to be stored in our back foot. Because we learn that when we have 2 feet that are weighted and don't know which one should be going or being lifted off, we fall, we stumble, we create an accident. So Tai Chi says you need to be strict with yourself. You need to only move the insubstantial foot. The insubstantial is another way of saying the weightless foot. Because we are safe to move that insubstantial foot because all our energy is stored on the opposite foot or the back foot. If the energy is stored and the weight is stored on the back foot, the forward foot can now pivot. We shift our weight because we know that in Tai Chi there are patterns. After one thing happens, the other thing happens and goes back and forth in a pattern. So this is the weighted. This is the insubstantial weightless. It can then turn out to a zigzag. Once it takes the step, it becomes a substantial to allow zigzag, what? Straight away. But how do I move this into a zigzag? I have to create an insubstantial weightless foot. I can't because this is the bow step. So I have to sit back and sit down to accumulate or store all my weight or energy. To put this guy on my heel because that's the best way I can now, from a straightaway, go into a zigzag. And it repeats. Once I take that zigzag, I need to root down to create a substantial to then have an insubstantial that can come forward. And the pattern then repeats. Do you follow what I'm saying? Okay, following is really good, and following then with the power of what you have absorbed and understood is to put it into play within your own body. If you get what I say really down well, there's more in your body that we can refine and help you with. So I'll say it in another way. In all of Tai Chi, even if you want to go concrete and say Yang Ten form, what you learn is a platform. But what I can teach you in years or time to come, I can make you even a better Yang Ten performer. Because you know something, but there's more to learn, and that's called refinement and better use of your body. okay? In the 10 form, we're pretty much stationary. In 16, 24, 88, and everything else, we're moving. And when you move, you don't have those borders or perimeters in which you have to stop. You're turning, you're swirling, you're adding a finishing touch, but only because your system is dictating, not because you want to do that, because that looks nicer, because it's only now wrist and hand and finger positioning, okay? So that will all come, okay? That will all come. But we cannot layer it too much and say, do this, do that, use your hip, blah, 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 because right now you're trying to get the basics in, okay? And slowly, when you get it really firm, we can then start to show you how you can get it a little bit better. Sometimes we don't have to show individuals. Sometimes it just grows on you like, wow, I can do it better because now I've got the basics and now I can refine what I'm doing, okay? So we're going to put into play what we just learned, which is a lot. I'm going to try to help you, but then you try to help yourself. We're going to do Tai Chi Walk coming forward, okay? What's our pattern? First we, then we, and then we. What do we do for the transition? We what? Sit back, sit down, and then advance. What's our goal? Our goal is to get to the same line in which you are now standing, but move in that line, in that direction. All right? So we know the answer to that is to always follow the pattern. Make sure that after your zigzag, you do a straightaway. The easiest way that I can explain that is the straightaway has to be on that line that gets you to the opposite room or parallel to the line. If it's not parallel, you're going to go haywire, okay? So don't be afraid. If you go haywire, that's room for me to teach more and room for you to learn more, okay? But be strict with yourself, and I'm sure that you'll be in the vicinity of that line. So no one asked me this, but Ken says maybe they don't know that you don't have to go 180 degrees. All you need to do is a 45 degree. So if this is a 90 or 180 degree, the pivot out is just a 45 degree, okay? Just remember that the straightaway is your L stance. If you know L stance, that L stance is a straight foot, and it's out and to the side rather than just out here, because you know we have to turn. Just remember that once we take a zigzag, the L stance is on a line or parallel to that advancing line that you want to go back to or get to, okay? All right, let's not worry too much. Let's just kind of figure it out as we go, okay? Hands at your waist. Good Tai Chi posture. Using your right heel, you're going to pivot on a zigzag, zigzag. Firm down, substantial foot. Left foot is going to be a straightaway on a line or parallel on your heel, right? You're going to unleash that energy and come down on a bow stance, straight away. To get to a zigzag, we have to sit back and we have to sit down to alleviate the weight of the advancing foot to come out to a zigzag. Firm down, drill down, substantial. Heel on a straightaway or a line. Turn the hips and waist, flatten down, straight away, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, store that energy, zigzag. Firm down, substantial, straight away, heel, turn the hips and waist, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, zigzag, shift your weight, heel on the line or parallel, turn the hips and waist, straight away, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, zigzag, 45, shift your weight, heel on a line, straight away, turn the hips and waist, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot out on a 45, shift the weight, substantial, heel, insubstantial, turn the hips and waist, straight away, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, zigzag, substantial, heel, straight away, bow. Sit back, sit down, zigzag, substantial, heel, straight away, turn the hips and waist, bow. Sit back, sit down, zigzag, shift weight, heel, straight away, turn hips and waist, bow stance, straight away. Sit back, sit down, zigzag, straight away, turn hips and waist, bow. Sit back, sit down, zigzag, substantial, insubstantial, turn hips and waist, straight away. Getting to where you want to be, sit back, sit down, zigzag, shift weight, heel, turn hips and waist, bow. Okay, stay where you are, stay where you are. Hooray, I'm looking at my class and you are in the same configuration, but forward. Okay, good. Go back to your regular spots. So yes, I had to pour it on, and yes, you got the feeling that I was an old witch, but it worked. I like that. I gotta trick you sometimes. I'm not always nice and soft and easy. But don't worry that whatever I try to teach you, I know that it's not easy. And I know that we have lapses. And so what? You come back and you try to learn it a little bit more. And through that repetition and reinforcement, we will get it down as much as we can and move on. But if you cannot do Tai Chi Walk by yourselves, then you need to work a little harder, because I'm going to be teaching you 16 movements, right? And the movements are not only feet. Whatever the lower part of your body does, the upper part of your body has to match it. But we know that if we take our feet apart and we know automatically what it should do, we have to just set up our hands and the magic of Tai Chi is promoted, okay? And I'm not talking words. I need you to reiterate in your mind what I really am serious about. That will help you with Tai Chi, okay? So here we go. We're gonna learn maybe 3 or 4 movements of Yang 16. I will show you first, okay? I will show you first. I think the best way to show you is the regular sideways and then show you how we will learn coming forward, okay? And there's value in both in that you will see different things, okay? So, like always, all Yang style will start with a commencing form with good Tai Chi posture, and we're thinking through that we're shifting our weight so that our substantial foot can allow our insubstantial to advance. We're drawing up water. Water is not easy to draw up with 2 hands, and we have to then push that water down. At no time does our shoulder rise up. You would be out of Tai Chi posture if you did. So this is my straightaway, and I parted the wild horse's mane. This is my transition to sit back and sit down. This is my zigzag. I need my ball for better balance. My heel is out on a straightaway to part the wild horse's mane 2 times. In Yang 16, we take a half step forward. And because we're on a half step, we need our ball for better balance. We're going to spin our ball as we shift our weight to the back foot, and we're going to be a white crane who spreads his wings. Weight on the back, okay? Weight cannot never be on 2 feet. So that's our challenge. Here's the view from the front. So like I said, in order for us to follow me coming forward, we have to start facing the clock wall. I'm drawing up water. I'm using my core to push down that water, using my knees to flex. I'm centering with a ball because I need better balance. I come out on a straightaway, and I part the wild horse's mane 1. I sit back for transition. I come out on my insubstantial. I center with a ball. I need a straightaway, and this is 2. We need to get to a half step. Half step merely means on your toe of your back foot, holding your ball. Sit back on your back foot, spin the ball, rock to your toe of the front, lift it off the ground, point it out. White crane spreads its wings. Weight on the back. Okay? You think you can do that? Yeah. Let's do it. Okay? Let's come forward. So you take a little bit step. No, we're going to come forward, so take a step back. Okay? And turn towards the clock wall. Good Tai Chi posture, dropping the shoulders. Good thoughts. Tongue on your palate. Butt tucked under. Commencing form. Shift weight to the right. Heel up, off the ground, open, toe, arch, heel, hands rotate. Deep breath in, drop that water, use your core. At shoulder level, push down, flex your knees. That water's heavy. T stance without raising your shoulder. Hold your ball. This is a zigzag. Next is heel out. Turn the hips and waist, the commanders of your body. Bow stance, part the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, pivot out to a 45, shift your weight. After a zigzag, we're going to go to a straightaway to part the wild horse's mane 2. Half step forward, hold your ball. Spin your ball. Weight on the back, lift up the left hand, set it down. White crane spreads its wings. Okay, one more time. We have enough room. Facing the clock, holding your ball. Let's start with holding your ball, okay? T stance, hold your ball. This is the zigzag. Out with your heel straight away. Part the wild horse's mane 1. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, hold your ball, heel on a straightaway. Bottom hand advances, go up the horse's mane, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot out. This is a drill. Zigzag, hold your ball, straight away, move the energy, flatten down, straight away. Sit back, sit down, zigzag, ball and T, straight away, part the mane. Sit back, sit down, zigzag, ball for better balance, straight away, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, zigzag, straight away, up the horse's mane. Sit back, twist step, L stance, bow stance. Sit back, zigzag, straight away, bow stance. Sit back, twist step, and stop. All right, I see it perfect. Everybody gravitated to a zigzag on the right towards the door, towards the fan. Hooray, something good is going on. Okay, move back. All right, how many thought it was fun? Yeah, we got out of our tin form. We're starting to move around and explore, right? We learned something more about our body. We also learned that, hey, the pounds that we have, we need to put it on one foot and be stronger so that we can be safer, so the weightless foot can now advance. And we need it to shift. We cannot always favor one side. We learn the principles of Tai Chi, which are strong in what we just did, that no 2 feet can have the same weight. You have to root down on one before the weightless foot can advance. In doing that, and I say turn the hips and waist, the second principle applies. The principle that the hips and waist are the commanders of your body. It's not your hands, it's not your head, it's not your feet, but it's how well you can move your hips and waist to direct your walking or your activities. We also learned that everything has to be thought through. We cannot rush just because the train is leaving or we need to catch up. You've got to take your time, otherwise you're going to cause an accident. So that focus, the mental challenge to keep focus and not listen to a distraction like the garbage truck or whatever, okay? You got to stay focused. These are all principles. We also learned that our danten points, our head, our chest, 2 inches below our navel, is the center of gravity that keeps us erect. When we take a zigzag, the cable or your spine can turn. It can also turn again and advance. But all the time that we're moving, this spine has to be straight up. So if we did not know that, we would create a fall, create another fall, and create another fall, and so on and so forth, right? But as long as we know that the safety comes when our spine and danten points are lined up correctly. What about our mind? Were we thinking about what you're going to do afterwards? No, there's no room for that. You need to stay focused and prioritize our movements. Of course, now you can see that if we added our hand motions to it, we somehow lost track of what our feet are supposed to do. So that's why you take it apart, you understand clearly where the alignment is for your feet, then you apply your upper body. Okay? All right. Any questions so far? Like it? All right. Let's learn about white crane and how she can spread her wings correctly. All right? So when white crane spreads her wings, we have done 2 parting of the wild horse's mane. That's my 45. This is my stability. This is my straightaway. And I'm at my second parting of the wild horse's mane. I take a half step, and because a half step is kind of risky, I center with a ball. One of the principles says that you need to create a substantial as well as an insubstantial. So here I am creating my substantial in my back foot. My weightless foot is in my front, and I'm going to lift it off the ground and I'm going to set it up correctly. Setting it up correctly. So when white crane spreads her wings, we are weighted on the back foot. So you know it's weighted because I'm not straight up, because if I'm straight up, there's more than likely 30-50% of my weight on the insubstantial, which is completely wrong. So when my knee is flexed, my weight is most likely on my back foot. When you spread the wings of a crane, the advancing hand is the left hand, and the right hand stays to the side as if it were holding a ball from the top. So that curvature of the hand to the side of the hip. The weight on the back, the toe of the front of the left is the only placeholder, and you're like this. You're not like this, you're not like this, but you're like this, okay? So what is it that I'm asking? The left hand is higher than your eye level. The baby finger can slice through an imaginary line in the area of your edge of your right shoulder. So can you position your hand of the left to make sure that the baby finger can slice an imaginary line through the edge of your shoulder blade, okay? And you can take note of my elbow. Is the elbow this way? No, it's dropped down. Because at no time should your shoulder raise up. You'll be out of Tai Chi posture and you will not have relaxation. And that's not Tai Chi. The weight has to be on the back. And the left toe is just holding there. But if I kept you here for a long time, you would ache in your back or right foot. Do you think you look like me? Can I check? Okay, and ask yourself, is that baby finger slicing through your right edge shoulder blade? Is your weight on the back foot? And only the front left is on its toe, and are you flexed on the back knee? It takes balance, it takes strength. Okay, so that's something you're going to take that piece home and practice. Okay, so this is what we learned so far, and after you watch, we're going to put it all together, okay? So we said we'd start with here. This is our twist step, or our T-stance, or our zigzag. We said that in Tai Chi there are patterns. After a zigzag or a T-step, we go to a straightaway, as if to part the wild horse's mane or do a Tai Chi walk. Once on a straightaway, to get into a zigzag, we have to sit down and we have to sit back. To allow the insubstantial foot to take a zigzag, we need better balance because we are going to be on one foot. And we need to step down on our heel on a line or parallel to the line to do the patterning of a straightaway. After two parting of the wild horse's mane, we take a half step. We help ourselves to center with a ball. Weight is still on the forward foot. However, we need to do several things to create the next movement, which is white crane. We need to shift our weight as we spin our ball, and we need to rock the front foot, and we need to set it up correctly. Wow. Right? I don't know where you mean. Yeah, because we're doing 16. In the 24, it's this way. You're in the 16 class, okay? So that's why people who have been practicing tell me, wow, I didn't realize that the 16 requires us to do stuff from the opposite side, meaning that that person probably was familiarized with the 24. So yes, because why did it end up that way? Normally in the 24, you do 3 parting of the wild horse's mane. In the 16, you do only 2 to end up on the wrong way, which is the right way, right? Okay, so we said that we would do it because you're all kind of, your mind is really ballooning and getting hyper because there's so much information, and it's taxing us because we have to get that information, process it, and perform. Practice, not perform, but do it. Okay, so let's do it before we forget. Huh?
Today, as well as most of all the lessons we're going to be talking about, she's going to be teaching you incrementally one form after the other, okay? One of the secrets behind Tai Chi in general is that each form, once you get into your substantial or stable position, is a stable position. It is, in Occidental terms, optimum postural efficiency. That is, you stand there, you spend the least amount of energy, but you are very stable. And you, as you go through the movements, you will learn each is relatively stable compared to what happens in between them. Okay? In between them, your hands and hips and your feet and whatever are moving. But even that has something to do with moving with a sort of balance. There is strategy. But just remember, from movement to movement, you are trying to move from one stable island to another stable island to another stable island. And once you get that concept, then you may understand what they term substantial. Substantial just happens to say you're defining one foot. But really, if you think of substantial as a whole, it almost says, hey, I'm rock solid almost, okay? That's one way of looking at it. Versus you can say, well, because there's substantial, there's insubstantial. In some ways, we're teaching it when you have substantial, you should have an insubstantial. But we're teaching it in the concept that once you stabilize, the insubstantial, if you use that, allows movement, okay? Because you're rock solid on the substantial.
Okay, good. All right. We are doing Yang 16, facing the clock wall, trying to implement Tai Chi Walk, and at the same time do commencing form as well as parting of the wild horse's mane as well as white crane. Good Tai Chi posture, dropping those shoulders, tongue on your palate, tucking your butt, hollowing out your chest. Good thoughts, lining up our danten points, 50-50. Shift weight to the right, 60, 70, 80, 90. Off the ground, toe arch heel, hands rotate, drop that water, using your core, using your mind at shoulder level, tuck the elbows, flex the knees, push down that water. Round out with a T on a, holding your ball, bring the shoulders in, elbows in, T stance or zigzag. You want to create a L or a straightaway to part the wild horse's mane. Here it is, bow stance. We created a straightaway. We need to sit back and sit down to create an insubstantial to pivot at a 45-degree zigzag, holding your ball, out on a straightaway on the line or parallel to the line to part the wild horse's mane. 2. This is a drill. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, hold your ball, zigzag, straightaway, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, zigzag, ball, T, L, straightaway, bow stance. Half step forward, hold your ball. Spin the ball as you sit back on your left foot. Watch the advancing hand go up onto the toe of the front. Lift it off. White crane spreads its wings. Then you ask yourself, is your weight on the back? Is your left hand or advancing hand above your head? Is the baby finger slicing through the shoulder of your right? If it is, drop your front foot, tuck the elbow in, and pretend you're cutting your body in half. Down to your danten, while you swirl back and look back at the back hand that's higher. Does it sound familiar? Weight on the back. What can we do? We can advance the forward foot and brush our knee. 1. Straightaway, sit back. Zigzag, set it up correctly. Straightaway, all together. 2. Sit back, sit down. Zigzag. This time we're going to fist the right hand and bring it up as we push down the other and deflect, bring it in and parry and punch. And touch or strip the guy off of you, roll back and sit down, spiral up and lunge forward. Then I'm hesitant to teach you the rest, but that's okay, let's do it. Pivot on the back, pivot on the front. Hook at 3 o'clock, the right hand. The left hand is at 12 o'clock on a T stance. We're going to get out to the 9. How? Step out with your heel, turn the wrist, single whip. Okay, let's go on because we're having fun. Sit back, sit down. Pivot the front, pirouette the back, kick out right. Maiden shuttles on her left. Okay, so good. We're getting into it. So you know that it's not going to be that easy, but it is going to be fun, and we're going to be in it together, okay? Yeah, right? Any feedback right away? Hard? Fun? Different? Fun. Okay, let's keep it fun. No stress. We're good. And I remember that you really did a good job on Tai Chi Walk. I'm going to hold you to it so we can do it next week in the same way, but probably a little bit more better, okay? Really kicking it up a notch, okay? Good job. Hey, good weekend.